Hi, I'm Donna, the Transdimensional Twin Flame and the Afterlife Artist. I'm here with session 21 of the MELAFON journals. MELAFON is the extraterrestrial from the Virginia, Brazil ET UFO crash in 1996. I met him in a blind remote viewing session in January of this year, and the information that I got about him was accurate. I also went back and deliberately connected with him again, where he told me he'd love to be one of my guides, and if I would connect with him every morning and journal with him, that he could give me some good guidance. A lot of this has just turned out to be general good life advice for anybody. So some of these sessions have been made private when they reflect information that's mainly just for me, but anytime I benefit from all of these sessions, but anytime that I feel that this information is good for others, I'll make these sessions public. So this one is a good one. I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I never know what we're going to talk about. I don't try to think about it too much. All I do is meditate and connect with him and then let him lead the way. Sometimes I have a question, but a lot of times he knows what I'm already thinking and he'll just bring it up in a way that's better than what I would have said. And lately it's been about the state of the world and how we handle it, because it's been extremely stressful for everybody I know, and for those of us who had spiritually awakened earlier, or those of us who identify as starseeds, were volunteers that came to help the human collective. We've been working on this for a while. We've learned a lot of techniques about how to regulate our nervous systems because we were put through situations earlier in our lives that required us to do that, or to crash and burn. We had, two choices: either figure out how to fix this or lose it. And so I made that choice in 2015 when I had my Kundalini awakening. And so I've been learning ever since how to regulate my nervous system. Some of us had a lot of problems with that because we are psychic sensitives in a world that denies our existence, and we are not toxic in a world that is toxic. So a lot of us have had a lot of problems dealing with this toxic environment, and there's nothing wrong with us. In fact, there's a lot right with us. That's why the fact that some people can fit into a toxic society, that doesn't mean they're doing something right. That means they're also agreeing to be toxic. And if they weren't toxic already, they're becoming toxic because of the systems that they're engaging in. So this thing today that we're talking about, I'm just going to read it to you. The whole page probably won't be visible the whole time because I do have to get close to see it because I'm legally blind. But let's just get to it and see what he said today. This is going to be about how to remain calm and centered even when things are stressful like they are now. It's about how to make good decisions even when you're stressed. And this is so important. It's going to seem super simple, and he repeats himself a few times, but this is so simple and people aren't doing it enough. It's basically like telling you how to start meditation, but if you don't like that word or you're kind of intimidated by it, I wish you wouldn't be, because there's nothing intimidating about it. It's all about just sitting in balance and breathing and just being. You're being instead of thinking. That's all it is. It's turning off your monkey mind for a minute so that you can have a refresh and a reboot and a recalibration, calm yourself, and then come back to the world refreshed with better thinking, because you're jumbled up thinking from your anxiety and your stress. That's not going to give you the best decisions. And then you make decisions in that state, and then the decisions turn out not to be the best ones for you, and then you regret those. So if you want to get off of that causal wheel that you are also participating in, I mean, these are your decisions. It's your fault when these things happen. It's not your fault the world is toxic. But if you're not taking time out to get grounded and centered and calm your nervous system, then the decisions that you make aren't going to be the best for you or anyone else. And those are your decisions, so you have to own them. If you don't want to keep making decisions that you regret, And if you want to be more calm and centered and healthy in every possible way, do what MELAFON is going to suggest here today. Okay, let's get started. I said, hi, MELAFON. That's me in the purple, and that's MELAFON in the green, and he mostly does all the talking. So I said, hi, MELAFON. Can we talk now? And he said, yes, of course. Glad to see you again. Do you have any pressing issues on your mind today? If so, drop them. That's funny. He's like, shut up. This is not about the mind. Hee. He's making a joke. He's like, stop thinking about stuff. And I said, yes, true. Haha. I know. What do you want to talk about then? And he says, the balance between being organized and prepared for unforeseen events versus being overly prepped to the point of hoarding, OCD, paranoia, and doing it out of fear. And I said, that's a good topic. I've been thinking about that too. And he says, I know, haha, because he knows everything. Like, when you're telepathic, you know what your person is thinking. So I don't really have to tell him what I'm thinking. He just starts talking. So then, this is how he's going to tell us how to be calm and balanced, even when things around are crazy. Because they may not be as crazy as you think. I can't get into all this right now, but we don't all live in the same reality. And if you buy into the crazy town, that's your life. If you don't buy into it, then that's your life. I didn't have a horrible year last year like some people, because I focused on amazing magic and I made it happen. And it was the best year of my life. Most people I know were completely stressed all year. So, take that as an example of what you can do. So here he's going to talk about balance and regulation. There is a delicate balance to all things. The trick to navigating the 3D world is to find calm, neutral balance for yourself in all ways. All your thoughts, actions, and beliefs should follow the rule: be balanced, be calm, be brave, and yet peaceful. Be aligned, ride the middle line, and watch out for extremes on either side. Too much thinking or obsessing, ruminating, or catastrophizing will not serve you. That is not balanced. And you know that. I mean, none of those behaviors that I just mentioned are balanced. Here's the page for you. Neutrality. When you rise above the lower 3D human version of yourself and your ego to see from the higher and more accurate perspective, the fear tends to dissipate. You see a bigger picture and thus understand more so how there is always a larger story playing out. And whatever you're worried about is just a blip on the timeline. It does help you feel sort of small, like maybe your issues aren't as big as you thought, because they're going to be done, they're going to be over soon enough anyway. If you ever think about it, pick a giant issue that you have, it'll probably be gone in a couple months, tops. I mean, maybe not, but a lot of things that we worry about, first of all, never, ever happen. The large majority, like 90-something% of the thoughts that you're thinking when you're worrying about the future, those things never happen. Most of them never, ever happen. And you have spent all your time and all your mental energy just thinking about them, and it turns out to be useless. So when I heard that statistic, I decided I wasn't going to waste my time like that. I'm like, no, I'm going to use my brain power, because my brain is amazing. I'm going to use it for the most efficient and useful things that I can. And sometimes part of that is turning off my thoughts, because your thoughts are they're usually part of your egoic mind. You have to tap into your higher mind and your guides and your higher self, and anything in the higher dimensions. You have to tap into that to get the really juicy divine thoughts. Those never come from your human mind and your ego. So let me get back to it. I'm going to start back again. When you rise above the lower 3D human version of yourself and your ego to see from the higher and more accurate perspective, the fear tends to dissipate. You see a bigger picture and thus understand more, understand more so how there is always a larger story playing out, and whatever you're worried about is just a blip on the timeline. When you become the observer, you are removed from being sucked down and hijacked by the lower egoic mind and survival system. Being removed means clarity. This is always where you want to be before making any big decisions. Confusion, anger, fear, and disempowerment live at the egoic level. Most humans never know there's a level of existence above that. There are many, in fact. By slowing down, taking time to be quiet, breathe, meditate, and be silent in your thoughts, you can see the thoughts. You can see through calm waters instead of looking through murky ones that are all stirred up with fear and other lower, highly charged emotions. So basically what he's saying is if you take time to breathe and calm down and step back from your thoughts, step back from the situation, step back from the world, just go be calm, ground yourself and breathe, then the waters of your crazy thoughts start to calm. You know, when you stir up water with sediment on the bottom, you can't see through it because it's muddy. That's chaos. But when you calm yourself, then the waters start to settle. You know, the sediment settles and you can then see through the water. That's like a clear thought. So that's what he was saying to do, is just to pull back from whatever you're doing, whatever schedule you have that's draining you, whatever thoughts you have that are draining you, whatever situation is stressing you, pull back and do some deep breathing and just withdraw into yourself. Find a quiet place and relax. Get some nice tea that you like. Go outside to a private little nature spot that you love and just sit there and breathe in the fresh air and listen to the birds or something. Ground yourself to the earth. The earth can transmute your negative energy or anything that you don't need. You can send it to her. Then you can draw up new energy from the earth. And this is what he's referring to. He's going to go into it more as well. But when he says to pull back and withdraw, he means just jump, get back off the rat race that you're in with your thoughts and your actions, because everybody's usually running around really busy these days. And if you want to decide what to do next about these situations, you have to get calm first. You have to regulate your nervous system first. If you're making decisions from like an unregulated, dysregulated nervous system, you are projecting all your issues to everybody else and you're not making good decisions. And most people right now are doing that. Most people are fearful and angry, and they're projecting that fear and that anger onto everybody else. Guess what that does? Nothing good. If you're one of those people and you're maybe justifiably angry, yeah, I get that. So am I. But I don't let myself come from that place and make decisions from that place. I use that anger as it's just a signpost that tells me I need to work on something and tells me what is going on with me. That doesn't mean that I knee-jerk react when I'm in anger. At least that's the goal, right? So that's what he's telling us to do today, is to be calm and withdraw and take a break when we feel overwhelmed like this. That's how you get to the real answers, because your ego never has the real answers. Its job was never to find solutions to all your problems. Okay. So, by slowing down, taking time to be quiet, to breathe, meditate, and be silent in your thoughts, you can then see through the calm waters instead of looking through murky ones that are all stirred up with fear and other lower, highly charged emotions. So he says, stop, step back, get quiet, and calm. It's like step back and take a reboot, just take a reboot. Next page. Concentrate on slow, deep breathing to calm your nervous system. This is the beginning of meditation. You don't have to go into full meditation. You don't have to call it meditation if you don't like that word, although there's nothing scary about it. But slow, deep breathing is the basis of how to really regulate your nervous system and calm yourself. That's how your body works. This is science. So concentrate on slow, deep breathing to calm your nervous system. This may lead to meditation, and we suggest that it should. But even if not, the act of using the breath to calm the nervous system regularly is of utmost importance. This act restores calm, thoughtful logic and removes you temporarily from the frenzied rat race humans are now in. If you never stop to remove yourself from the toxic hamster wheel your culture runs on, you will have problems. Mental, emotional, physical, and of course, spiritual. This is the next page. In fact, most people don't tap into the spiritual because what does that say? They never make time for this quiet reflection. Not studying spirituality, that's not what we're talking about. Not taking a class. He's saying it's not just about taking a class or studying spirituality. He said that may or may not ever lead to any real spiritual practice. We mean true spiritual practice. The simple act of conscious, deliberate breathing deeply. The act of grounding to the earth for stability. Drawing her energy up for renewal. Releasing old energy for her to transmute. Circulating your energy in and out is basic energetic hygiene. But most of you don't do this and have never been taught. It can take only a few minutes or a few hours, but it is easy to do and very effective, especially during stressful times. So when things are uncertain and you're stressed and you don't know what to do, stop first. Do nothing. Go somewhere quiet and relax. Follow the deep, slow breath over and over. And drop your thoughts as they float by like clouds or balloons. You can just imagine your thoughts floating by like clouds or balloons. Close your eyes, deep breathe. Breathe in as deeply as you can. Hold it for a few seconds and then slowly release it all the way. And when your thoughts come, just let them come, but let them float by like balloons or clouds. Don't go down a storyline with them. You don't need to follow your thoughts. Your thoughts are a separate thing from you. You aren't your thoughts. Your thoughts are not you. They're just something that's being produced by you. So learn to let them go eventually by just watching them pass by. Then it takes some of the connection away from your thoughts. Then you realize, I'm not my thoughts. My thoughts are not reality. Let them go. Let your thoughts go. Watch them come and go, but do not follow them. They get quieter over time. This is just something to quietly practice over time. Don't be stressed about this at all. It's just a normal, natural way to calm ourselves and center ourselves. And it's something that we should have always been doing, but our culture, my culture wasn't taught any of this. So I had to learn it on my own as an adult, but it does work. Okay, so then he says, as you step back from your normal schedule and never-ending stream of mostly neurotic and nonsense thoughts, you see things more clearly. Your nervous system calms. You're not in fight or flight or freeze mode. Then is a good time to make decisions from a calm and centered place and not an emotionally muddled, knee-jerk reaction type place. While breathing and meditating, let your worries go. Imagine them sliding off of you and going into the earth to be transmuted by her. You don't have to carry those. You don't have to carry those worries, fears, or concerns all the time. Nobody is forcing you to. Practice letting them go and acting from that calm and centered place, and see if your decisions get better. A cluttered mind and stressed body never made the best decisions. In troubled times, in turbulent times, self-care looks like pulling back from society where it's toxic or stressful. Value yourself enough to know you were not meant to struggle and to survive in this way. Leave it. Decide to get quiet and healthy above all else. Use your quiet time to decide what elements are truly important and focus on those. Most people have taken on too much that is not healthy or even important in the scheme of things. Get real truthful about what's important in life. The big things. Erase or delete all clutter, physical, emotional, and mental. Regulated nervous systems need order and calm structure. They can handle all kinds of situations when they're regulated. You only make healthy decisions and have accurate beliefs and balanced thoughts when your nervous system is regulated. And remember what I said, regulation is what we talked about, being calm and doing, taking some time out to meditate and be calm, focus on your breathing, go out in nature and drop your thoughts. Refresh yourself and ground yourself. That's a good way to regulate your nervous system. And it's free. You don't need to buy any products. You're not supporting a billionaire. You don't need any money. You can do this yourself. It's your natural state. Your body knows how to do it. So there's everything perfect about this. The only thing stopping you from doing it is you. So you can come up with an excuse if you want not to do this, but it won't serve you because doing this is super healthy and it'll help you in the long run. Okay, so he goes, so to get back to our original question, you'll know when to get prepared and what to, and to what degree when you have a regular meditation and system regulation routine. Anytime you feel overwhelmed, stop and regulate with breathing and the other steps that we mentioned. Even a few minutes disrupts the cycle of neurotic and cycling thoughts. After that, you'll be able to trust your judgment and intuition in regards to what you buy and do next. Next page. Whoops. Okay, next page. Only a healthy, balanced, and regulated nervous system can be reliable in decision making. Otherwise, the ego is usually front and center, wanting to make decisions out of fear and lack mentality. Those decisions don't come from the higher self in the balanced perspective. So take time to be alone and silent. Be in nature often. Ground to the earth. Take full, slow, deep breaths regularly. Do this throughout the day, okay? We don't do this enough. Take really deep, slow breaths. You've got to get the oxygen to your whole body. Sometimes we breathe too shallow when we're stressed. So take time to be alone and silent. Be in nature often. Ground to the earth. Take full, slow, deep breaths. Let your worries float away. Do this every day. And then make decisions from this calm place of clarity. I think that's the last page. Yes. Okay, so that made sense to me. I practice this too, but it never hurts to have a reminder that this is how you make grounded, good decisions without them being a reaction to something. Sometimes when you're making a snap decision that's a reaction to something, it's not the best decision, and it's usually coming from your ego, and you may have a lot of charged emotions in there, and you may be putting some unwanted energy from your unregulated self onto other people, and it's not fair to do that to them. People like me will reject that. If you come to me with dysregulated energy and try to make, your problems, my problems, I'm just going to block it. I don't take on other people's energy like that. If you can't do your basic energetic hygiene, we're not going to have much to talk about, because I don't let other people's energy dysregulate my energy, because I know how to regulate my energy. So I thought this was good for all of us going through what are some very turbulent, unusual, like unheard of times in my country, but all over the world. And everybody wants to know, what are we supposed to do? Sometimes what you're supposed to do is nothing. Sometimes what you're supposed to do is go get regulated, take care of your body, eat well, sleep well, and do things that stop your never-ending catastrophizing and ruminating thoughts. Ruminating thoughts are an addiction. It's not just how you are. Like, people say, oh, I just think all the time. That's just how I am. Like, most things are not just how you are. Most things are things that you've adapted as some kind of strategy that's probably maladaptive. If it was nicely adaptive, then you wouldn't be complaining about it. Catastrophizing and ruminating is never adaptive. Like I said, most of those thoughts that you're thinking never come true. So if you don't want to waste your time, and you want to clear the clutter of your mind, and like clear yourself to make really good decisions, based on what you know, do what he has suggested today and take time out for yourself. Be quiet. Meditate. Whatever that looks like for you. So I'm going to keep this in mind, because I have the same issues everybody else has, trying to figure out what to do to go forward in these times. And also remember, sometimes you're not supposed to know what to do. You don't have to know what to do all the time. Your ego wants to know what to do next. It's trying to keep you safe. It has a job, and one of its jobs is to keep its person safe. It thinks you're separate from everybody else. It's the ego's job, is to make you feel separate, even though we're all connected to the same source. So your ego is going to want you to make decisions before you know what you're doing. It's going to want you to resolve everything so you can feel better. The truth is, being comfortable with not knowing is super freeing. When you can live your life without really knowing what's next, you don't have to make a decision right away. You don't have to solve your problems right away. They will get resolved, but they will get resolved in divine timing, especially if you know how to follow your guidance from your higher self and your spirit guides, and wait for the proper timing and then respond. Instead of making things happen, you call the solutions to yourself with your calm and regulated energy, and then the solutions show up, and you are aware enough to know when to take action. That's how I flow. That's what being in the flow is about. That's what being regulated means. It's not about trying to force outcomes, because that's egoic. This is inner work, and how you can switch your focus in life from focusing on how can I change the outside world and all these outside people, to how can I regulate myself and be the best version of myself, because I'm manifesting all the rest of this. So start within yourself. The people who don't start within themselves and they focus only on the outside world, it's completely backwards. It doesn't work. And they find that out, but then a lot of times they never break out of it. So they spend their whole lives still trying to force, the outside world to look the way they want it, when they could have done it, but it would have had to been done from the inside out. And they just don't sometimes get to that point. All right. Well, I hope that made sense and that it helped a little bit. I think most people know what meditation is, or if you don't want to call it that, just go out in some nature and take some nice deep breaths, close your eyes and relax and listen to the birds. That's one way we can regulate our nervous system. We live in an ecosystem with the earth, and it was designed to help us like this. It's we're all in this ecosystem together, and the earth is a conscious being here to help us. So please take time to do that. Thanks for listening.